welcome to the first episode of Kopites Unfiltered. So this is something I've been wanting to do for a while. I've never actually done this before, so it's going to go one or two ways. It's either going to be a great show or it's going to be a shit show. I haven't decided yet. So what we'll do is, first of all, we'll introduce everybody. So Carl, which quite a lot of you already know from Cop Talk, good friend of mine. We've done the Tell Me Your LFC story. And then you've got Tony, who works on the channel. He does Tony's Thoughts, another good friend. We talk a lot behind the scenes. And obviously the main man, our injury deep dive man, Scott. Again, another good friend, know him from Cop Talk, and AKM as well. And I think you're AKM as well, aren't you, Carl?
Yeah.
So, do you want to talk a little bit about what you've been up to since we did the Tell Me Your LFC story? Anybody can start first. So we have all been talking behind the scenes, haven't we, about doing other different bits and pieces as well.
Yeah.
How have you found it, Tony? Because you've done about 13 episodes of your previews and reviews now, haven't you?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been different. I've never done it before. Let's be honest. But I think that day you kind of messaged on the Cop Talk channel that we all know and we're on, about asking, who would be interested in talking about the LFC story. It came at the right time for me because it was a bit of a distraction, a really good distraction. So it was kind of nice to kind of be invited on. I felt really flattered, for example, that was really cool. And having a good hour just talking everything about Liverpool from my side and getting to know Gareth and everything else like that. And it's just kind of spiraled into, would you be interested in doing a review for the games and what my thought processes are? And, I have no sort of set format. It's just speaking from the heart. And I think the great thing about being part of this little community that you just kind of built, Gareth, is the fact that it's just being you and anybody's invited. There's no restriction or anything. There's just a case of, if anybody's kind of shows interest, then you're more than welcome to just sort of jump on. And I feel that, when you see these other sort of YouTube stuff, I'm not saying they kind of restrict you, but it's really hard to kind of break through that sort of opening the door. And you just said, look, listen to my channel, come and jump on. And I think it's really refreshing and nice to kind of see it. And, I'm now meeting Carl and Scott for the first time, which we all put some kind of input into this channel now, and it's becoming what it was becoming. And who knows what's going to be like in a year. So it's really good. It's exciting for me. I'm loving it personally. Yeah,
well, it's like I've said a few times in previous videos, this channel's about community. I'm not a one-man band, which we're now starting to see. And as soon as I spoke to Scott, I just knew that I wanted him on board. And as soon as I asked him, you were all over it, weren't you, Scott?
Yeah. I can't remember. A couple of months ago, we did the chat, and obviously I had some stuff going off end of last year, so I nearly binned off my podcast end of last year, just because I had some stuff going off. But then, since the start of the year, I've got back into it more, and like I said, since we've done our chat, obviously come on board, tried to give an input from sports science world part of it. I do it on here. I do a monthly one with Adam and AKM as well. And kind of bring a different angle to it because I've been studying sports science for around 10, 13 years now, in different aspects. So it's good. I enjoy it, to be honest with you. And it kind of brings me out of my comfort zone because I've been doing podcasting for 2 or 3 years. So getting in front of the camera and trying to navigate that, and not usually when I'm on a podcast, I've got my headset on, got my notes in front of me. I don't even look up. So now it's all different ball game. So I'm really enjoying it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting for me as well because I've always like looked at bits and pieces over the years and thought, oh, it's a hamstring injury. That's at least 8 months. But I've never actually properly gone into it. What about you, Carl? Do you understand all that sort of thing with injuries, or do you just go off what the papers say?
I basically go off what the papers say. When it comes to injuries, I'm clueless, to be totally fair. But I must admit, I watched the podcast, the YouTube video you did with Adam Scott, and it was really good.
Oh, cheers, mate. Yeah,
I always watch them. Yeah, they are interesting. I mean, that's why I really wanted to get Scott on board, because he's got a different string to his bow compared to what we all do. I mean, we all can give our opinions, but he's actually got a professional opinion, which is completely different. That's why when he agreed, I was fucking buzzing. I was running around the house like a fucking madman.
To be fair, I always say on my podcast, like, people bring like different aspects to it. Like Adam and Dunk are fantastic at like looking at papers, and yourself at looking at like transfer stuffs and all that type of stuff. But for me, I'm completely clueless on that side of it. If you would talk to me around like periodization training programs or rehabilitation or like scheduling of pre-season, that's where I thrive. So it's like everyone's got their own kind of like little niche with it. So
yeah,
I think it makes it more interesting when you've got people that have got look into it in different aspects, because when you just sat having a chat like we are now, there's like you're getting all different things thrown at you from different directions, and it just flows. And it's. I'm looking forward to this though today, I must admit, especially the fact that we're just going to go for it and not hold back.
Yeah, no holding back, Carl. You know what you're like. You want to be a good boy. There's no good boy on Unfiltered. I want to hear the real Carl.
Do you now?
What was I going to say? There's some. Yeah, so basically, anybody that wants to come on the channel, if you can think you can add something to the channel, because it's like I've said to Tony several times behind the scenes, it's so difficult to get your own channel up and running, because YouTube is absolutely, what's the word, full of Liverpool channels. So that's why I said to Tony, if you want to do a Liverpool channel, jump on mine, get your confidence up, and let's see what you've got. And he's really enjoying it, and that's what it's all about for me. I mean, I've only been doing it myself 2 years, and mine just exploded out of nowhere. I mean, 1 minute I had 150 followers, and now I'm at 4,100 subscribers.
I was going to say, mate, you're like 4,000. It's incredible.
In 2 years, it's gone up 4,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
From being myself.
Yeah.
It is pretty mad. So what we're going to do is, this episode is basically about like a season review, if you will. I know we've still got 4 or 5 games left, but we're going to go right back to where I think the slide began, which I think was when we're mathematical champions.
It was Tottenham game, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you want to add your bits and pieces, because I remember one of the teams, I think it was Arsenal, they basically refused to give us the Guard of Honour. I think it was Arsenal, but I'm not 100% sure.
Gosh, I'm going back now. So, yeah, did they feel a bit awkward by doing so?
I can't remember. I'm sure it was Arsenal or something, but I might be wrong. So what I'm going to do is I've got some stats here for you boys. We're going to go back to the 24-25 season. So as you know, on the 27th of April, we won the league with 4 games to go. Only 3 teams have done it quicker or earlier. Right? So with the 4 games left, we had Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, we had Arsenal at Anfield, we had Brighton away, and we had Palace at home. And when I first looked at that, I thought, thank God we've already won the title. Because they're all tough games, them, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know, you've got Chelsea were a good side back then. Arsenal were a decent. Brighton and Palace, they're all decent teams.
We were
So
crap.
there's, like I just said, there's 3 clubs that have won the title quicker than 4 games to go. Do you want to have a go at telling me who you think they are and what year and how many games were left?
Man United might be one of them.
Yeah,
Another one.
Scott?
Was it Arsenal when they had their invincible season?
No. Because
No.
they had quite a lot of draws, didn't they?
Ah.
But,
Were it us last time round?
yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got the 25th for the 620 was us, which was obviously the 1920 season, and we won it with 7 games to go. And then you've got the 14th for the 4th 01, which is what you said, Tony, Man United, the 2000-2001 season. They won it with 5 games to go. And the 15th for the 4th 18 was Man City, which was the 17-18 season. And they also won it with 5 games to go. So we actually hold the record from the 1920 season. But I don't know if you've noticed what I said then. The 25th for the 620, that wasn't a fuck up on my part, by the way.
No, it was just COVID, wasn't it? Because the season had a big break, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. When it like 2 months off or something.
Because the season didn't finish till August, did it? Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a few more stats about Slot. So Slot is one of 5 managers to win the title in his first season. So the first one was Jose Mourinho, 2004-05 with Chelsea.
Course, yeah.
The second one was 2009-10 with Ancelotti, which again was Chelsea. Third was 2013-14. Oh, Tony's gone.
He's doing a call.
He's disappeared, hasn't he? Do we just continue or what? This is a good start to Unfiltered, isn't it?
Best part about Unfiltered, isn't it? You never know what's going to happen.
That's the good thing, yeah. That's what you said, wasn't it, before we went live, Carl? Right, so we'll wait until he comes back and we'll just continue. So where was I? So yeah, do you just want to have a go at who the manager was in 13-14 and the team?
13-14.
Yeah. I'll tell you the team. It was Manchester City.
So
Who was the manager?
that would have been.
What season we come second?
No, this is 5 managers that won the title in the first season. So you've got 2004-05 Mourinho with Chelsea.
Yeah.
2009-10 Ancelotti again with Chelsea. 13-14 was Manuel Pellegrini.
Oh, Pellegrini, yeah.
Yeah, Pellegrini, yeah.
And then 4th was 16-17 again with Chelsea. That was Conte.
Yeah.
And obviously our own Arne Slot.
It's mad, isn't it? How everyone was like saying last season that Slot was a tactical genius, and now, like, you look at him and it's just like, no.
Oh, there you go. He's back. Right, so
Sorry, chaps.
We'll go back a little bit. So we were talking about managers that won the title in the first season. So we had Mourinho, Ancelotti. Is that where you got up to, Tony?
Yeah.
And then third was the 13-14 season, which was Pellegrini with Manchester City.
Christ.
4th was the 2016-17 Conte Chelsea season.
Yeah.
And then obviously Arne Slot, 24-25.
Yeah.
Carl was just saying that everyone was saying about Arne Slot. Everyone was saying he was a tactical genius. I've still got a few more stats for you yet, Carl. I want to see if you've still got that opinion. when I finish these stats?
I didn't care. I had that opinion. I said that's what everyone was saying.
So, Slot is only the 4th Liverpool manager to win top flight title in his first season. So you've got one, Matt McQueen, which was the 1922-23 season. Joe Fagan, 1983-84. Sir Kenny Dalglish, 85-86. And then obviously Arne Slot. Only 2 managers have won the Premier League younger than Arne Slot. Now, nearly there, boys. Just trying to build the hype for the big slide. You've got Mourinho won it back-to-back in 2004-5 and then 5-6. In 2004-5, he was 42 years old and 94 days. And then the 5-6 season, it was 43 and 94 days. So there's literally like a year and a day between getting the back-to-back titles. And then you've got Sir Kenny Dalglish at Blackburn, 1994-95. He was 44 years old and 72 days. And then Arne Slot, obviously last season, he was 46 years old and 222 days. I have got a bonus one for you as well. Pep Guardiola, Man City, 2017-18 season, he was 47 years old and 87 days. So that's your top 5 youngest managers to win the Premier League title. Right, got 2 more for you. Virgil van Dijk is the first ever Dutch captain to win the Premier League. And him and Arne Slot are only the second captain and manager combination to win the title. The other one was Arsene Wenger and Patrick Vieira in 2003-04. And the last one, last season, we only lost four games in the league. It was the home game against Forest, 1-0, on the 14th of September 24.
Yeah.
The away game against Fulham, which was 3-1 to Fulham, on the 6th of April. Away to Chelsea, where Chelsea won 3-1. That was on the 4th of May. And then the last one was away to Brighton, and that was 3-2 to Brighton on the 19th of May.
Yes, the 2 of them were after we'd already won the league. Like you say, when the downward spiral had already started.
Exactly. So, Carl, what do you think of that? Do you still think he's not a tactical genius?
No, I just think he polished a Klopp side.
Oof.
And now...
So you don't think that he would have done it if he didn't have them players, even though Klopp didn't do it the year before?
No. I think Klopp created what the team that won the league last season. He just polished it a little bit, didn't he? A few changes, but obviously now the cracks are showing massively.
Yeah,
because some of the decisions he makes, you just find yourself thinking, "What? Why? What are you doing?" It's just not. It's obviously not working. I know a lot of people say you can't just blame the manager. Maybe the players are to blame as well. But some of the substitutions he's making and tactical decisions, they just blow your mind.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think, Tony, about them stats?
It's incredible. I think when you said about the mathematical manager and the sort of stats around that, kind of brings it home a little bit, because I remember how we used to play only obviously under the last season under Klopp, and even before that, compared to what we're doing now. And like Carl says, polished. I think that's probably the best way to kind of describe that, because we were sort of very heavy metal football, and Arnie came in and almost kind of said, right, okay, he's not going to change anything, but just reserve maybe the sort of energy of the fitness side. And literally overnight we saw Salah not running, probably not as much as they used to on that right hand side. That was the first thing I probably noticed, and it was kind of great because all of a sudden we were kind of begging Klopp to kind of just rein it back in a little bit, be controlled in games, and we just seen a complete controlled team last season win a league in under controlled circumstances. And then of course we come into the new season and we're still seeing that more evident than we've ever seen before, with new players coming in, which is probably a bit of a factor. But it's almost like now I feel that we're either dead slow or stop. I don't see the same sort of fire and the sort of hunger to kind of, just win the ball. Just do that as a basic level. I see players where they just stroll back, and you would see Klopp on the sideline 2 years ago absolutely losing his nut. He didn't get back. No, yeah. But we all done it. Whichever way we play football, right? I didn't play professional or anything like that, but I had my mates telling me to run back. That's just part of the game. That's what you do. It's like a DNA. And all of a sudden, these guys have been told, no, just kind of take it easy a little bit. And I don't get it. I don't understand that at all. So there's a complete chasm of how we've shifted. And I think last year, I described our title winning side or winning the title as academic, because it was almost like just very methodical, get on and just be consistent, and everybody else kind of fell away from that. Yeah. It got to the Chelsea game, and it's the first time I saw that we did not give a crap about what was happening, because we all went on the beach, and so did Slot by that time. He disappeared. And we'll come on to this a little bit later on about the disconnect, but we checked out. And I think it trickled right into this season where we have checked out. And I think things have compounded it, but I am not seeing, apart from maybe a couple of new signs that we've got and some of the old guard that really want to push this team forward. And it's almost like being told, no, you can't do that. Do it this way. Yeah. And the fans, you can see it going, we would sing from the top, like attack. Well, it feels like defense, or just retreat, hold back. And so, yeah, I think you made a really good point, Gareth, about this mathematical win that we got, because it feels exactly like that now on reflection and in hindsight, really.
Yeah. Can you see any similarities besides the heavy metal squad between Klopp and Slot? Because what I've noticed is they both got a lot of injuries, didn't they, to a lot of different players?
Yeah, so obviously Jurgen had a very heavy metal, high press, like a full court press type team, which it comes part and parcel with muscular injuries. What I thought Slot did really well last season was he just tweaked it. He understood that we couldn't press like that for a full 38 game season and still win the league. So he's implemented that. But what I think the big issue was, and I mentioned it beginning of last season around September time with Adam when he came on my podcast, Adam Naylor, is he doesn't implement squad rotation at all. He uses the same 13, 14 players, which as the season goes on, you notice they start to flag more. And I think you can even take it before we won the league mathematically, in and around the cup final against Newcastle, the PSG game, and I think there was the Merseyside derby around that time as well. We were flagging massively, and that to me was down to lack of rotation in the squad. And you saw players such as Harvey Elliott, Tyler Mortons, even your Kwanzas, for example, have all moved on to pastures new, and players who now really we could do with, to be honest with you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So what we'll do is, before we get into next season, we'll take a quick look at the 2025 summer window. So you slightly just touched on it there, Scott, with Kwanzaa and Elliott and stuff like that. How did you find the summer window, Carl? What was the most surprising parts of it for you? About maybe who we sold, who we brought in?
To be fair, I was shocked how much money the club actually did spend, and like obviously they bring in Vert. You think, wow, that's just amazing. Then they go and get Ekatike for what did they pay for him? Was it 85, something like that?
Yeah.
And then after getting Ekatike, they still go and blow what they did on Isak as well. And you're like, oh my god, what is going on? And like everyone just obviously thought after winning the league last season, the players we brought in the summer, everyone was like, they're just going to kick on and they're just going to rule the show next season. They're going to win everything, and it's just gone the complete opposite. And everyone's just so dumbfounded by it all. And a lot of people are even like laughing, aren't they? Like because of the amount of money we spent.
Yeah. So what I've got is I've got a list here of players that we actually sold or loaned out. And we'll start off with you, Tony. I'll give you a name and you tell me what you thought of him as a Liverpool player. So we'll start off with Darwin Núñez. As we know, he went to Al Hilal, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. I love Darwin Núñez from the point of view of his character, his attitude, and the instant connection that he came in with, because he absolutely ran right with us when he played for Benfica, and he was amazing. And I thought we got a really good player in our hands. It's just a case of we've got to probably service him. And as time went on, I don't know what happened. In fact, I think probably it might be down to confidence, because when there's parts of that season he played in, and he was so good. I remember that against Fulham when I think we drew like something like 3-3 in one of his first games, and he did a sort of back heel to score the goal, and it just showed like how much confidence that if you give it to him, he's just on fire. But the minute it went sideways for him, it went downhill, and I think he tried too hard, too much sometimes, and it kind of held him back. And also, then, was he getting the kind of right service he probably could have done? Could he do with a sort of a Dalglish-esque type of play behind him, or a Gerrard behind him, just to push the ball right in front of him? So all he had to do was just kind of hit it. I don't know, but he was one of those where he looked the part and is the part. I just think he was really unlucky in terms of how he kind of went, and just by some of the results that we had, and we didn't quite do it, and it really, I think it's one of those ways like Marmite, you either love him or you hate him, and I think some parts of the crowd really got onto him on his back a bit, and I did as well. I just think, Jesus Christ, this guy's just missed a sitter again. But we're fans, and that's how we react. But he was one of those where if we got it right, and he was right, he was a really good player. And I think recently, just from what I read, if you asked him to come back to Liverpool, he said he would do it literally within an instant, because I think he understood what it was to be a Liverpool player and to connect with the crowd. And so there's some little bit of love there, and I still do. I think that guy just had pure energy.
Yeah.
And perhaps we miss that now. We really do miss it now. This current side right now, with Wirtz behind him, it might be a whole different cat, this Darwin Núñez.
Yeah, I would say I agree with you to a certain extent, Tony. I mean, if we didn't play just one up front and he had a strike partner, I think you probably would have seen the best of Núñez.
Yeah.
I think I agree with that. Right, so Scott, we're on to you now. This player really upset me when he went, and we're talking about Luis Diaz. What did you think of Luis Diaz?
I love Luis Diaz. He was one of them players who he could make something out of nothing. Even if 2 or 3 players were marking him, he could get out of a tight situation, open the play up against a team parking the bus, he was the one who get hold of the ball and try and do something to open them up. And you got to remember as well, he come back from 2 nasty knee injuries when in one of the seasons for us, and it took him a bit of time to get back up to his best. And unfortunately for us, his last season was his best season. Then we cashed in, but it's clear to see now that we're missing a player on the left-hand side, someone like him, a very direct player, very pacey player. Because if you look at the team now, there's no real direct pace in it. I feel like goes same with Núñez as well. Both of them probably weren't all the time the most good at taking the chances, but they would create chances. They were getting behind the defence, and they'd cause defences massive issues. So for me, I was gutted when he left, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I was. I thought it was brilliant. I think we got rid of the wrong player, in my opinion. I think Gakpo's way too predictable. Where Diaz, you didn't know what he was going to do. I mean, look what he's doing with Bayern Munich.
I was going to say, he's having a blind at this, isn't he?
Did he not want to go, though? Did you guys feel that he felt he wanted to make that manoeuvre? Because for all the time that he was with us, and don't get me wrong, he was an incredible player for us. His dad was talking about, perhaps going to Spain and all the rest of it. It was almost a case of, well, when this guy was going to go at some point. Do you know what I mean? I always felt that, maybe it's the old school with me. When you play for Liverpool, you are in. You're either in or you're just out. Don't do half.
Exactly.
Right? So I always felt that with Diaz, while he was brilliant for us, there was all this kind of fly in the air with, is he going to go? Because there's always talk about that. If you talk to, say, for example, Curtis Jones, there's no way that guy's leaving in Liverpool. For example, I know he's a scouser, right? But there are certain players like Mohamed Salah, for example. You can tell it's hurting that he's leaving. You can tell that, But with Luis Diaz, I think his head turned too many times for my liking, and I think if you really want to go, we won't stop you. You're either, as I said, you're either in or you're out, and I think it was a matter of time before he went. Personally,
I
think
agree.
the thing is with Diaz as well. I think part of it with his team's issue is when he signed for Liverpool, he signed such a long contract. But if you look at the wage you're on compared to the others, it was such kind of like a basic salary, which it didn't leave him much room for manoeuvre to get an extension at. I personally think if he got offered another contract, he'd have stayed. But I think from Liverpool's point of view, at his age, giving him a new contract, I think from a board sales point of view, they didn't see the value in it from that side of it. And I think that's why you always saw his team linking him with the teams to try and get a new contract, to get that bigger salary. But obviously, it wasn't going to get one, so Chuck moved on, basically. So, yeah.
Well, I think the thing is, I think he was only on something like 56,000 a week.
He was,
which is pittance for a player of his quality. But I read somewhere, I don't know how true it is, but I read that he wanted to stay. And basically, when the offer came in from Bayern Munich, the owners basically said to him, "No, I can't turn down 70 million for a 28-year-old player."
Yeah.
So that's why he went. I don't know if that's true or not, but if that is true, I think it's a bit harsh. I mean, if 28's not old, that's your prime, isn't it?
This is FSG all over, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Then again,
I think that's it, yeah.
I think it's going back to what you were saying, though, Scott. Maybe they knew a little bit more about these knee injuries and thought, hang on a minute, one more whack, and that halves.
Yeah, I mean, you think obviously he had back-to-back knee injuries, didn't he? So he had an issue with, I think he went from MCL to an ACL or vice versa. I can't remember which way around did it. But he did well. He did really well to come back from them, to be fair. I didn't think he'd come back and have the confidence and have the pace to do what he did. But like I said, I think if he got another one of them type of injuries at his age, on the contract you're on, obviously his valuation would have dropped massively. So I think the club got the offer and with it, basically.
I agree. I've got a question on Luis Diaz, though, and I'm going to put it out to you three. There was times I was absolutely frustrated with Luis Diaz. To get me wrong, you always remember the kind of good things that he did, but there was some absolute stinkers that he did. And then I look at it and and compare say with Mane, for instance, who was generally consistent, I asked the question to myself, was that good business in the end? You know, in terms of getting 70 million for Luis Diaz, and then we had Mane, who was, I think, his levels above Diaz, for instance.
Yeah.
I felt gutted in the sense that, you know, we could do with him now, you know, considering what the kind of season that we've had, I guess. But I thought to myself, well, if Bayern, if he wants to go, great, and we get 70 million from him, great. That's 2 tick boxes. But he wasn't as good as Mane, and I think in my selfish kind of mind, we should have almost another player that we should have brought in as like another Mane, for example. And that's probably recent times, but I just feel that if we are Liverpool, then that's the type of player you want to go for. And we got Mane from Southampton for like 30 million. He was a complete revelation for us, wasn't he? You know, he was that first cog in the wheel of things were really great. And I don't think Luis Diaz hit those kind of levels. Don't get me wrong, he contributed massively, but he wasn't as consistent as say Mane, in my opinion.
Mane,
one, sorry, mate.
So Mane was awesome. Loved him.
I don't think we'll get a better player than Mane. Really, it reminded me of John Barnes.
Yeah, 100%.
So the next player we've got on the list, I've got a few to get rid of, to go through. Sorry, but we're not going to go deeply into them all. I just want to get Carl's opinion on Kelleher, and then I'll tell you the rest of the players we got rid of.
I was definitely sorry to see him go because I think he's a fantastic keeper. But you can't expect someone like him to just be a number 2 for the rest of his career. Because he's shown since he's moved to Brentford, he's more than deserves the number 1 keeper's share for, well, maybe not for Liverpool, but for someone. Because he's definitely far too good to be sat on the bench.
100%.
Yeah, definitely is. I think with Kelleher as well, I think he wanted to leave the year before, didn't he? And Klopp talked him out of it. But I think he's had a great season at Brentford.
I think the thing is with Kelleher as well is as soon as we agreed the Mamadou Dilly deal, he was like, yeah, I'm done. Because I'm never going to be number 1.
Yeah,
like that kind of carrot what were dangled in front of him had just disappeared within. As soon as that deal was kind of done, as soon as we agreed that Mamadou Dilly deal, were it Nottingham Forest who put a bid in for him that window? And they tried to do something, and you can clearly tell his head was like, right, I'm done now. For me, Kelleher is probably, if you look at player profile wise, he's probably the closest to Alisson there is. He's actually, you can see how he's trained with him every single day, but they've chose to go the Mamadou Dilly route, which I think is a good keeper anyway. But I think Kelleher is quality, absolute quality.
Yeah, they totally killed that sort of pathway because you can see how Alisson is probably got past that peak and he's definitely sort of slowing down. He's always had a bit of an injury with him, you know, in the season, as you're going to allude to, Scott, as well. But what the thing is for me, keepers, they get better as they get older. So if you want to really cement a number 1 position for a goalkeeper, Kelleher was your guy. Kelleher would have been like that person who would have gone all the way through, and maybe Mamadou should have been a number 2 as a backup because he was the second in for Alisson. He's probably learned so much from. He should have had that push, and I feel absolutely gutted for him in the sense that the way that we treated him, really, in that regard, because he's top class. You know, he's playing for Brentford, which is a different level. But if it weren't for Kelleher, we don't win that Carabao Cup with the youngsters. We just
true, very
true. Get the winning penalty in that as well.
Yeah. We just don't win it without him. It's just I don't know how much we can put out.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say that, like, if you look, he's not only he deputised fantastic for Alisson, but he stepped up in big moments. He stepped up in 2 cup finals, you know, for us. And that last one against Chelsea when Van Dijk scored the winner, some of the saves he made were just world class, incredible. So I understand why he's gone. to obviously progress his own career, but it would have been nice for him to have that pathway through to our sport. So yeah,
his injury record was brilliant as well.
yeah,
The thing about Kelleher as well, I mean, me personally, we'll get more onto this later, but if Alisson goes this summer, I'd like to see Kelleher come back.
Yeah,
You know, but the problem is then, is Mamadashvili going to sit as number 2 again? Because I would have Kelleher above Mamadashvili all day long.
Yeah, but I think Mamadashvili was told, wasn't he, that he will be Alisson's replacement.
yeah.
Again, FSG, innit?
Yeah, but
The thing
I'd take Kelleher all day long. I really would. I think he'd have been a fantastic number 1 keeper for Liverpool if he wasn't in competition with one of the world's greatest goalkeepers.
Yeah,
exactly.
He was
But
consistent high though, wasn't
didn't we
he?
only pay like 500 grand for him or something as well?
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Buttons.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
but
was
about
saying
500 grand.
Sorry, his standard was like really like high though, wasn't it? Like for a youngster, as a young keeper for Liverpool, it's like, you know, I think I'd shit the bed if I was to do that. But this guy was cool as a cucumber.
Yeah.
Every time you looked at him, he didn't waver, didn't
Nah.
flap. I don't remember him actually flapping at anything. You know, don't be wrong, then we could get beaten and stuff like that in terms of, you know, a goal going past him. But I just remember the camera pan on him, he just like, yeah, okay. And
I think the reason he was so calm is because he was a midfielder, wasn't he, originally in Ireland?
Yeah,
oh, I didn't know that.
yeah. He played
Yeah.
outfield for a bit, didn't he? Yeah. I think as
So
well,
what we'll
like you can. So I was going to say, I think as they can see he's trained day in day out with Alisson. That's why he's so calm and composed. Like Alisson has got that in his locker as well, and you can see that's why he's very similar to Alisson as well.
Yeah, definitely. I'd bring him back in a heartbeat. So the rest of the players I've got on my list, I've got, obviously Elliott went on loan, Quansah left to Leverkusen. You've got Tyler Morton, who I thought was a great midfielder. I was surprised he went. Then McConnell went to Ajax on loan. Then you've got Simicast went to Roma. Nat Phillips, great centre-back. I know he doesn't get the credit that he should, but I thought him and Reece Williams, when we won the title, I thought were brilliant.
Yeah.
That 19-20 season. And then you got Ben Doak, Yaros, another good goalkeeper. And then Lucas Stevenson. That's just the first team players. I think there's another 5 or 6 more than that actually went last summer. And when you think we only brought in, 6, 7?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's roughly 11 players plus youngsters that left, and we brought 7 in. Shocking. Right, Carl, you haven't spoke very much, so you can kick this off. Tell me about the slide of this season.
Say that again.
I want you to tell me what you think the slide is from when we were mathematical champions to this season.
I wish I knew the answers to that. I ask that question every time they play. It's like, what is going wrong? I'd love to get to the bottom of why we're so inconsistent. And then every now and again we can throw in like a super performance, and I was like, that's the Liverpool we all know. And then you can guarantee the following game was shite again.
Yeah.
And it's horrible to watch. Like I said to you last time we were talking, you could be 3-0 for half time and you'd still be nervous in the second half. You could throw a game away.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't start off too badly, did we? We were getting the results, but we weren't performing that well.
Well, we were 10 points clear, weren't we? At 1 point at the beginning of the season.
That's what I mean. But I mean, when we played Arsenal and Soboslai scored that free kick, we just didn't look like we were going to get anything from that game.
No, I know.
It wasn't for Soboslai. And there was loads of games like that at the beginning. That was the frustrating thing for me. It's like Tony was saying earlier, it's like all season, it's like the players aren't interested. It's like they're not interested in stepping up at all.
No, it's poor. It's been poor.
It because of pre-season? I mean, maybe it's something you might want to touch on, Scott. You know, did everybody get a decent pre-season?
To be honest with you, I think the issues come from the players that we've lost. We've lost so much. Like they were all kind of robust and ready for the season in England, where you talk around playing a full 38-game campaign in the Premier League and the European calendar as well. I spoke about it quite a few times where every player we've signed, they've never experienced doing a full season in the Premier League and European football on top. And you've seen, obviously, players as you go along, like Frimpong's, FTK's, even Wirtz has picked up niggles as well. And it's a learning experience for them players to be able to then, say, play 3 times a week. You know, the only player who had done any season in England with European football is Isak, and he did it once for Newcastle, but they were knocked out of the Champions League by December. And obviously he's not been available for us anyway. So the rest of them have kind of been learning on the job and trying to navigate that schedule. But on top of that, slot doesn't rotate a lot. And you've seen many times Kirkes around the 70th, 80th minute, he's on his knees, knackered. And he doesn't revert to Robertson. Doesn't bring him on just to try and freshen up that left-hand side. And you wonder why Robertson's off to pastures new is because he's not getting played enough, you know what I mean? And I think that is a lot of the issue as well. You look at it and you think, these lads are struggling physically. It'll just take time. It'll take a couple, probably years maybe to get used to it, because it took Szoboszlai. You think every year he's got better.
Yeah.
Players like Wirtz will be going on that journey, but what would help them massively is if the manager would turn around and go, right, we'll manage the minutes, we'll rotate here, we can bring him in for this game, bring him in for that game. But we haven't seen that since Slot's really come in, to be honest with you.
No, I mean, I would agree with that. I mean, like we've just said then, a minimum of 11 players went in the summer, and we only brought 7 in. So they're actually selling players, more players, than to bring in less players with better quality, but with no Premier League experience. That's my issue.
That's it, yeah.
But like what I was saying before, that kind of suits Slot, because he's only really playing with a squad of like 13 or 14 players, isn't he? So.
But first, Jurgen Klopp, though, to be fair, didn't he? Towards the end, he was basically sticking with the same team.
Yeah.
You know, that's
I think by then, though, I think Klopp had built a team. They were just physical animals, though, weren't they? You know, they could do it 3-4 times a week if they needed to. You think of Mane, you know, absolute specimen. Same with Salah on the other side. You look at the midfield, the Wijnaldrums, the Hendersons, the Milners, the Fabinhos of this world. Like they want many teams who could outrun them lads. You know, and even if they could, then we had the quality then to punish them over end of pitch.
Yeah.
If we kind of got lost a little bit, because I'm going to go back a little bit in terms of old school football, where, let's say, for example, you've got like an Ian Rush, right, who has got to his peak of his powers. You can see him slowing down and all the rest of it, and then Dalglish brings in Aldridge to replace him, and it's almost like a slow bleed into that, so that when Rush does finally go, then there's got a natural progression into that. And have we lost that kind of way of thinking about football? Because, you know, it's almost like a rushed thing that we have to have things like instant now. And don't get me wrong, like you touched about Kwanzaa, Gareth, right? Kwanzaa would have been brilliant now, because he has all the attributes to be a really good defender.
Yeah.
And he's a good defender right now where he's playing. But because he wasn't instantaneous, we look at that and go, oh, well, you know, he's not going to be great. But, we don't do that sort of soft bleeding anymore that we do. Like, Douglas was great at it. Just, there's somebody else coming through. Then you have 1 or 2 other players. It wasn't like a shift of like, well, there's 7 or 8 players and do exactly the same thing. The new players were coming through, were kind of learning their trade off like top class, world class players, the John Barnes of this world, and the Grobbelaars and all this kind of stuff. Have we gone backwards in all of this because of the probably demand, or like what's wrong not doing that?
Yeah.
I think you touched on it, Tony. I think it's to do with not football people running the club. I mean, I know you've got Edwards and Hughes, but they can only work with what they're given. Maybe the FSG are actually saying, you can't actually spend this amount of money. We want this much money bringing in, and they're giving them really tight budgets. I mean, I know we spent 450 million, didn't we? And brought 225 million back in or whatever it was. But it's like they're determined to get rid of Klopp's team. I don't know what happened between Edwards and Klopp, But that's what, to me, what it looks like is happening. I mean, at the moment, at the end of this season, all we'll have is Alisson and Van Dijk that are left from the Champions League winning team, which is quite scary.
But that 450 million, I know that I could probably count 3 seasons back to back where we spent no money hardly. And you think, where's the money? Because we'd won the league, we'd won the Champions League, won competitions, and it's almost like, well, where are we reinvesting it back? So I wasn't surprised at that $500 million that we spent, because it took all the time that was there to not even spend it at all, and he got us all that success. And rightly, because we won titles, we got that influx of money. We qualified for the Champions League, all these different things, but we didn't see a penny of it. In fact, I know, watching like other content creators saying, "Where's the money, John?" They used to say, "Where's the money, John? And all of a sudden, bam! It's like we won the lottery all of a sudden. But the money's always been there, so it's always a bit like we get confused. Football's not a complex thing at all. It's quite simple. You win. You obviously get the success behind it, and the money comes through, and you can replenish players. If you don't, it's a really tricky scenario. And I think that we had plenty of time when we won the league the first time round, where we generated enough money to help Klopp build again and go again. But what happened? We didn't retain it. We fell off the cliff. And we seem to be doing this kind of perpetual thing. We won it last year, fallen off a cliff. And don't get me wrong, we brought players in, but was it the right manager to kind of coach that team? Because I think if Klopp had been here now with those players that we got right now, that's a whole different ball game we're talking about. I think the lights, virtuously played different. You see, I mean, Ekatike has been fantastic. One of the sort of shining lights, if you like. But I think this team would be looked so different under Klopp. We'd have teething problems, of course, but we won't be sat there right now, sitting in 5th, like playing rubbish football and wondering why, what the hell's happened? Because we have literally lost identity, I think, of all of this.
Yeah. Would you say they changed too much, Scott?
Yeah, I was about to say that. I think in one window we've done too much, and you see the amount of players, like you said, who've gone and how many we've brought in. In one window, under a manager as well, you think who was only at the time been there 12 months. He's not like he's been there 3, 4, 5, 6 years and got his feet under the table and understood the club inside out as well. And I mean, I don't like to laud other teams, especially like City, because of the allegations and stuff they've got. But if you look at Man City, they had 2 or 3 a window. They have that kind of slight progression. It's like what you mentioned, Tony, when Rush was, on his way out, they got Aldridge ready, started bringing him in. And that's what Liverpool need to do. Instead of waiting so long, letting the squad get depleted and then just going, right, let's go Wells Bells and just spend £500 million and just sell 200 odd million, completely rip the team apart. They've done that, and it's, as well as all the other things we've mentioned, but you've got a whole team coming together now and learning kind of on the job. Yeah. And then you've got players in and out through injuries. And I don't know the number, but imagine the lack of minutes what Isak, Ekatike and Verts have played together. I bet they've barely been on pitch as like a threat together,
I think Isak and Ekatike have only played once together, haven't they? It's started together this season.
Yeah, probably.
Pure madness. Absolute madness.
Yeah, I think they've only started. Yeah.
So, who's impressed you the most then out of all the signings, Carl?
Probably Ekatike, to be honest.
Yeah. What do you think about Kopites? Do you think if Klopp was still here, do you think Kopites would have had as many games?
No.
Because I don't think Robinson would be
even played Robbo more, I think.
Yeah, definitely. What about Verts? How have you found Verts this season?
He's grown into the season, hasn't he?
He was definitely grown into it. Yeah.
Yeah. He started off quite slow and frustrating, to be honest. Some of his games where he was, well, it's obviously a massive step up for the Bundesliga, isn't it, to the Premier League? And he's obviously one player that's well, he struggled a bit at first, didn't he? But I think he is definitely growing into it. And I do think he's going to be a top player next season, or definitely the season after.
Yeah, he's got too much quality not to be a good player.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Same with Frimpong as well. He's not had a great season.
No.
I don't know if you want to touch on Frimpong, Scott. I know he's had quite a lot of injuries, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he's got that recurrence, that hamstring issue, hasn't he? I think Frimpong's issue is, well, it's not really Frimpong's issue. I think it's the manager's issue. He doesn't know how to play him. He's either playing him right wing, he's playing him right back. You know, he can't cover that whole side. And I feel a bit sorry for him in a way, because you can see him at times literally a one-man band down on that right-hand side. And I speak about like the red zone a lot. And it feels like to me, he's been the one who has kind of been overused, and the amount of sprints he does per game, both forwards and backwards, I think that accumulated fatigue on his hamstring. I think he's a quality player, but I think he's a better right back than what people give him credit for. I think 1v1, there's not many better than him. The main issue he's got is he can't really help it. Is his height. He gets beat quite a bit at the back stick, and the ball's over the top of him. But there's obviously not much, he can do around that. Unfortunately, it wouldn't surprise me if we signed a right back in the summer and just told Frimpong, you play further up, mate. It wouldn't surprise me if that's the plan going forward.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, me personally, I don't know about you, Tony. I thought Frimpong was bought to back up Salah.
Yeah, in a roundabout way. Did he not play right back there at Leverkusen? Or have I got that wrong?
Yeah, like a wing back play. Yeah,
didn't he? So he was like a right wing back.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, look, I mean, Salah at his prime is different gravy, right? We've seen that over the years, and obviously you can't be his first man now, and that's absolutely fine. I think I don't know what this manager wants to do, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think Scott's kind of touched on it. Does he go, as a right back or a bit further up? It's almost like he doesn't really know. And he's one of our quickest players that we have in that whole team. So, but when he comes in, there's a bit of an imbalance on the other side as well. I think what's happening is that generally speaking, our balance is all over the place. I don't think our guys know where to go, where to come from, or be disciplined in things. So when you see like Frimpong running, and it's brilliant to watch, he can beat his guy, he can cross the ball and all that kind of stuff. What happens in the middle? He does all that hard work, all the best things that we see, and then nothing happens in between that. And he has to run all the way back. And then we've got a manager who's very controlled, that wants to kind of reserve that energy. So what is it? What do you want? So I think we're just a bit asked about face, really. We've got some really good quality players in there. And anything I question is, what's their attitude like now? They've had a full season under Slot. And are they interested in playing for Liverpool? Because I get the feeling when I watch these games, there's a huge disconnect, and it's a case of, well, we could get third if we're really lucky, almost, and we're all sitting there watching it going, well, if we really tried harder, we probably could. But then you see the team he puts out that gets changed on a constant basis. We don't even know what's happening. So I think a lot of the stuff is probably the Hughes and Edwards brainchild of, we'll bring these players in because they're all about the data and all about how these players kind of fit in. And there's the manager, you figure it out. But I don't think he has half a clue what he wants to do with it. And that's probably a disadvantage to Slot. But ultimately, I see him not playing players in the right positions. I see substitutes that are mad. I see a young kid in Rio that literally torments defenses every week, and yet it's kind of held back a little bit. And he's probably one of our best players that we didn't buy, for instance. I see a lot of things that just doesn't. I can't work it out. It's like long algebra for me. It's hard. Like Frimpong, I think he's actually shining light if he's played correctly, done in the right way.
I think the toughest thing for me, Carl, is that there's no other player in the world that can replace Trent Alexander-Arnold. I think that's the issue. I think he's what we're missing. If we still had Trent Alexander-Arnold, I think we'd still be up there a lot closer than what we are.
Yeah, I think I definitely think we're missing him a lot more than people expected, because he could turn the game around with one pass, couldn't he? You know what I mean? He could. Some of the balls he's played over the years for Liverpool are just out of this world, and I just think I do. I think we definitely missing him a lot more than I think a lot of people thought when he was leaving.
Yeah. I think also as well, I think this season, I know we've got Virgil van Dijk, but I've been reading quite a lot. There's no leaders in the team. I know we've got Van Dijk, but you need more than one person on the pitch.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that, Scott?
Yeah, I think Van Dijk even mentioned it himself the other day, didn't he? That, you know, obviously we've lost that many, and you know we've signed a lot of young, good players. I think Szoboszlai is naturally going to go into that role. Obviously, you've got players like Alisson who could be leaving. You know, Robertson's off, Staller's off. You know, you're losing a lot of experience there, and it's the one thing in football you can't just really buy. You know, experience, unless you go and buy like a ready-made player. I think, to be honest, I think next season, I think Isak, you know, he comes with a lot of experience as well. So when he's fully fit and firing, I think he will, you know, offer that as well. But I think to be honest with you, I think one player, I know you mentioned about Trent, we're missing Trent. I think we're missing Conor Bradley massively, to be honest. There's been at times over the last couple of years when Trent's been injured and Conor Bradley's deputised for him. And when Trent's back, everyone's gone, you know what, he don't get back in team. Keep Conor Bradley in team. So he's another player. You know, I think if Conor Bradley's playing, you see a different right-hand side by Liverpool.
I've got that tackle against Mbappe in the game.
Yeah. What a tackle that was. That was early, wasn't it? That was Steven Gerrard-esque, that.
Yeah.
Gerrard used to do that every derby game, didn't he? And United game, he just gets first 2 minutes, crunch, someone's getting it. And that's what it reminded me of.
Yeah.
And he is definitely our right back. If he was fully fit, firing, top of his game, that's our right back right there. I don't think you have to buy one, because I think, again, he's that kind of player that instantly gets it. And it's just that British grit that he's got. He talks about like his Gerrard tackle and stuff that he does. He understands what it means. He's just put him in an Everton game like we had last weekend. They're getting crunched. There's no two ways about it. There's no two ways about it.
I think, to be honest, I think the issue with Conor Bradley is, it's not really his fault, is that when he plays for Liverpool, is that even at a young age, he gets played for Northern Ireland every single game. He goes with international duty, he plays all the time. I think he might be their captain, or he's at least one of the leadership. Yeah. And for such a young age, he accumulates a lot of minutes for them. There's been so many times he's not played for us, but then he's gone to Northern Ireland and got overplayed and come back carrying niggles, carrying knocks. Obviously, the last injury he's got is just unfortunate, but I think over time, when he gets older and he develops and he can accumulate to that volume of matches, I think he could be the one for us at right back.
Yeah.
Would you be concerned, Scott, with his injuries going forward? Do you think he's going to be very injury prone, or do you think he'll grow out of it?
I'm hoping he'll grow out of it, because obviously, like when I mentioned about him playing a lot for Northern Ireland, I just think at his age he's exposed to a lot of volume and a lot of high intense matches. You know, top, like you think qualifies for Euros, qualifies for World Cup, then he comes back and plays for Liverpool, and obviously, you know, the most intense league in the world. You'd hope that he would grow out of it. A bit like when Curtis Jones would get them kind of little stress fractures in the bottom of his leg, he eventually grew out of them. And I think Gerrard had a similar issue when he was younger, and he grew out of it. Yeah. But it's hard, because you can't say that he'll grow out of it, but then you could say, is he doing too much damage too early? You know, it's a fine balance, to be honest with you.
Does flying about, Carls, say you get a niggle when you're playing, I don't know, in South Africa or whatever, or South America or wherever, does that affect injuries as well? Can that make it worse?
Yeah, so it affects the recovery, you know, because like the blood flow and blood pressure when you're flying and stuff like that, you want to kind of reduce that as much as possible. You saw it with, like, the South American players when they're off international duty. They come back to us, obviously, done whatever flight back. And I remember one game, one early kickoff against Wolves away. I think when Klopp was still manager, and Maka come back and like he was running through sand until Klopp brought him off, and he were on bench, literally pink in face, looking like he'd just done Mount Everest or something. And that's because of the travel and the accumulation going back. And it's little things as well, like obviously if you're a big, I'm 6'4", so when I travel, my back and knees are in bits. So that type of stuff as well, it all adds up when you're flying and traveling. So
yeah, I thought that might have. I was just thinking about it then when you mentioned about Bradley saying that, he doesn't play very much for Liverpool, but with all the travelling with Ireland, because they go all over the shop, don't they, international players?
Yeah, they can play wherever, yeah.
Is there anything else you want to add before we go on to the next topic to do with the slide?
Don't think so.
Yeah.
No, you good, Carl?
Yeah, all good.
So let's move on to the fun part now. Slot's future. So obviously there's a lot of rumours on Sky Sports News mainly that he's staying next season. I don't personally believe that. What's your opinion, Carl? Do you think he stays?
Well, I don't. I know it's going to sound horrible, but I don't really want him to stay. But there is a lot of talk. But like you say, it could just be paper talk for one reason or another to try and blot out something else when they're saying it. But I just can't see Liverpool getting back to the way they were under Slot. I can't see how he can change what's happened this season. I can't see past that. I might be wrong. He might stay. We might have a phenomenal season with a couple of extra players brought in next season, but I can't see it. Really can't see it.
Well, I watched, is it TalkSport with Danny Murphy, and he said if Slot's there next season, we won't get anywhere near again. As long as Slot's there, we won't get near the title.
Well, that's exactly how I feel, but you just maybe something will happen to prove you wrong, but I just don't think he's the man to take Liverpool forward.
No, I don't. What's your thoughts, Tony?
Okay, I'm going to be absolutely honest. This guy's an absolute tit. Excuse my language. I
didn't want to say that, but I agree with you.
I'm going all in with this absolute donkey. So I think we were a little bit spoiled, probably a little bit overprivileged in when Klopp came in and how he went out. And he always made a point of, it's not how you come, it's how you come out of things. And he left a solid foundation for whoever to come in to kind of just grip that, make it, add your thing to it and carry it forward. I've seen this season systematically that whole thing break apart. I can't recognise my team. I can't recognise the supporters, the fans. It's completely unrecognisable from what I understand it to be 2 years ago, which is why going back to this whole thing that Gareth really put eloquently, mathematical champions, right? Because we were. I don't see the same. I think the players have checked out with this guy. I think he's lost his dressing room completely. He's certainly lost me. And I used to, at the beginning of the season, I used to put a lot of the blame on the players, thinking that perhaps they just didn't kind of get the edge that they used to have. But this idiot is travelling to places. He's not engaging with the fans. In fact, the fans are almost not even, it's just academic for him. And I find that really strange as a Liverpool manager or coach. And I really hate that when he comes to his press conferences or whenever he talks now, it's a load of crap. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. I used to love the fact when we used to get beat, for example, and clubs would say, we were just rubbish. And it's, don't look at my players, look at me. I did this. It's me, and I want you guys to come next week and support us again, because this is not the Liverpool way. This guy will come out and literally blame everything else apart from himself. And we can see we're not stupid. We're as fans, we are not idiots. The game is a very simple game. And if you told me that, I don't know, that Salah is still world class, then you're off your rocker. The guy has he's done his bit, and he's ready. It's now time for him to kind of do whatever he wants to do. You can't beat his first man anymore. We all can see that, and that's fine. There's no problem with that. But don't tell us to, that we don't understand, that we haven't got a clue, or I think he said something like that Woodman came in and had deputised for Mohamed Aswili. Let's hope you guys turn up and support him. What kind of language is that? We would do that naturally.
Yeah.
What on, mate? Like he's smoking the biggest joint from Amsterdam I ever known. He's just he's off his head, and I got no time for this guy anymore. And I feel sorry for the players. I think that some of them are trying. Vosla has really come to his own this season, and probably carried us for most part. Ekitike has come in and done really well, but it's no surprise that Salah's basically told him midway through the season he's an absolute idiot. And I think at that point he's checked out when I'm out of it, because he's completely unrecognizable. So for me personally, get this guy gone, because he's completely destroyed what I've been enjoying for the last 10 years. Even though we could have won more titles and more championships or whatever that is, I had an absolute blast riding and dying with Jurgen Klopp with that team, because all I saw was a set of players that would just run for a brick wall, not just for the Klopp, but for us as well. And that's why we are seeing what we're seeing at the moment. So for me, if FSG decide to continue with this idiot, I'm out.
So on the other side of it then, Scott, do you feel a little bit sorry for Arne Slot with injuries and stuff?
Yeah, so obviously a lot of the signings we've made, the new players have had issues physically. You think Leone on his debut doing his ACL, Frimpong having 4 hammers in one season. There hasn't necessarily been... He had a lower back issue, but you could see he struggled physically at times. Obviously, TK injured and the Isaac ones as well. But I'll go back to the lack of squad rotation throughout the season. You can manage them minutes a lot better. But I think we're seeing a manager who, like I said, he doesn't rotate enough. He's tactically struggled this season compared to every decision he made last season seemed to work. This season, he couldn't buy a ticket to get the right decision. But you're also seeing someone I think has got really poor man management. We've seen a lot of players leave. I mentioned it before, Joel Kwanzaa, he's a lad from central Lancashire. It was easy for him to go to the Manchester academies. He had one trial or open day at Liverpool at the academy. He was like, I want to go there. And he took the extra journey from a young age to go to the Liverpool academy. One season under Slot, he chose to leave straight away. You've seen Harvey Elliott, Boyd Liverpool fan, wanting to leave. You've seen Tyler Morton. Like he said after that PSV game last season, he knew his time were up at the club. Other players, the Diaz's, the Nunes have all moved on. And part of it, I think, is down to the poor man management of Slot. But I also think as well, we need to hold Richard Hughes and all them accountable as well, because whatever policy they employed in the summer hasn't worked as well. I mean, to be fair, for what it's worth, I hope I'm wrong with Slot and I hope he does turn it around. But I just don't see it. I don't see... You've got to ask yourself, what we've done wrong this season, do you think he's got the answers to get that right next season? I don't personally. And I think the reporting, it's just too premature saying, we've nearly got the Champions League football, so, his job's safe. We're only 5 points clear of Brighton. It's not a done deal. We're going to get Champions League football. We've got a tough game tomorrow. We've got a triple header, Man United away, Chelsea at home, Villa away, then Brentford at home to finish off, and they're no mugs either. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. We're going to slog it out to end the season, and hopefully then we can learn and rectify over the summer going into next season. But I think, to be honest with you, he's lucky there's not a big pool of top quality managers around as well. I think that is another issue. Like, you've looked at the reporting today that say Pep Guardiola leaves, Man City, they're going to get Maresca in, and that is such a downgrade from Pep Guardiola to Maresca. If they're downgrading that much, who can we get in? And obviously there's talks from it. Obviously there's other names like Xabi Alonso and Nagelsmann and stuff, but it's if, when and when we can get them in. That's the issue as well. So I think part of that is, there's not a big pool of managers available.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So we'll stick with this Slot theme then, and you've just slightly touched on it there, Scott. If Slot is sacked, I'm going to give you my name, and then I want you three to give me your name as well. I'm going to try not to all give the same name. So I'm going to start off with somebody that I don't think you will think of. I'm going to start off with Iriola at Bournemouth.
Yeah, because he's leaving at the end of the season, isn't he?
Who would you pick, Carl?
Well, I can't really think outside the box. I would love to see Alonso, the next Liverpool manager. I'll be honest with you. Or Nagelsmann, though, to be fair, would be another good shout. I think he'd be great, but then how would he be in the Premier League? I really don't know.
The problem with Nagelsmann is he's got the World Cup, hasn't he, with Germany?
Yeah, he wouldn't come till after that. But he'd be doing Klopp a favour, though, wouldn't he? Because if he came, Klopp would get his dream job done.
Yeah, well, you've also got Klopp being linked with bloody all sorts, haven't you?
Real Madrid.
Who's your pick, Tony? Who would you go for?
My first choice would be Alonso, if we can get him. We've got to navigate Hughes and Edwards in this, haven't we? And what they think. But if we weren't able to get Alonso, and considering that we've got the players we have now, I would go with Gerrard, because I think having Gerrard just maybe as an interim, maybe for a season or whatever, a short-term deal or whatever that looks like. I don't mean like from now until the end of the season. I'm talking about next season if we couldn't get Alonso, for instance, or the choice. I think Gerrard, given the squad, the team, and to almost mend the break, I would say, between the supporters and the team and everything else, would be a brilliant manoeuvre. I wouldn't expect Gerrard to go and win the league or anything like that. I just think we talked about it on this already, is the fact that there isn't a man management style with Slot at all. And I think this team has kind of been half bred to have that arm around the shoulder and that sort of shout and that sort of bite and that grit to go and play these games. And I think it's too lax for my liking. And as I said, if we had Gerrard in there for a year, if we can get Alonso personally, I think he'd just give him that sort of boost, because it's been downplayed with Gerrard. I know that he came to Aston Villa, for instance, and he didn't do well, and he's still quite a young manager. But everybody forgets that you walked the league at Rangers, and that's a hard.
They hadn't won the league for ages, had they? Till
exactly. Exactly. Yeah, Celtic were just running riot at that point, and still do to a certain extent. He came in and he was undefeated in that whole season and just walked it. And I know that obviously it's a different league in comparison to the Premier League, but Gerrard understands it. Gerrard gets it. Gerrard gets it on the pitch. He gets it in the fans. He gets it with everything. And I think if we can instill that into the players, if he came in, that would be a shot in the arm to kind of get the right manager later on, maybe. But for now, I would take that guy. I would take Gerrard all day, every day. And I would hate if he failed, then it's a different matter. But the point is, if we're showing some fight on the pitch, that's all we're asked for. We're not asking for, put up trees, but just play football, because I'm not seeing it at all. These, in the last few months, personally.
I think Gerrard's passion for the club would go a long way, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think though, Scott, I don't know if you agree with me. I don't think Gerrard's ready for the Liverpool job. I think he flopped at Aston Villa. I think he did a piss poor job in Saudi. I don't think Gerrard is the man for the job.
I think with Gerrard, I think it's always a risk, Aston Villa. If you look over the years, post Martin O'Neill, they've been a team in decline until Unai Emery took over. So it's always a risky job. They're a big club and they've got big ambitions, but they've always struggled up until Emery come in to get back up there. Like I said, he did fantastic at Rangers. Obviously, I think Celtic had won 9 unbounce, haven't they? Before then,
Yeah.
he'd come in, won it that season. Then since then, they've won it every season up until now. So obviously, he did. I think we're very quick to write off young managers. That you saw Lampard after his second stint at Chelsea, he got writ off. He just won Championship with Coventry. When these young managers, and I think that was the good thing about Gerrard going to Saudi. He had the time to get on the training pitch and just get the hours under his belt and the matches under his belt. Obviously, it wasn't a big club in Saudi Arabia. I don't think he had. They didn't have the financial resources of other teams, but at least he was getting that experience. I'd like him to get another job in England before he comes to us, though. I do think he needs to have that more experience under him. Personally, for me, I'd go for Xabi Alonso. I like Iraola as well. And to be honest with you, the main reason I like Iraola is because he sounds like Rafa Benitez when he speaks. To be honest with you. He's got that proper Spanish twang, hasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Talking about Benitez, he's just been let go, hasn't he, from Panathinaikos?
Has he?
Oh,
Yeah.
What a guy. What a
So
guy.
I've got a couple of more names here. So we've touched on Alonso, which is obviously all of our number ones. And then we've got Iraola. You've got Eddie Howe. He's going to lose his job at Newcastle, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Would he be a shout?
I don't think so.
No. And then we've got... I can't believe I'm going to say this, Scott. What about Enzo Maresca?
Oh.
I had him on my list before you said about him earlier on.
No, to be fair, he's a decent manager, but what I mean is the drop from Pep Guardiola to Maresca, if you know what I mean.
But
what about Pep? If Pep leaves, what about Pep?
You've got to
I'll
be...
take Pep. Yeah.
You
I
will
would take Pep all day.
see...
Imagine him with FSG checkbook.
That's what I'm saying. I was about to say that. You're not going to get anybody like a Pep Guardiola or Jose Mourinho, anybody like that at Liverpool, because none of them will come as a head coach. That's why I'm thinking of head coaches rather than first team managers. I don't think personally, and I hope to God I'm wrong, that we'll get Alonso. He won't come as a head coach.
I was going to say that could be a big deterrent for Alonso, really, because there's already been a lot of rumours, hasn't there, that he doesn't fancy coming to Liverpool with the setup we've got at the moment.
I mean, what are you actually hearing in Liverpool, Carl? Because you're actually based in Liverpool or around Liverpool?
Well, I live on the Wirral, which is literally just over the water. It's literally a 15-minute drive into the city centre. So I could drive to Anfield in 20 minutes.
Yeah. So what are you hearing in Liverpool then? Is there anything different to what's in the papers?
Not really, no. I don't really listen to all that bollocks. I just listen to all you guys and listen to the real deal.
Because they say, don't they, that people that actually live in the city are more clued up than what you see on the internet, which is all bullshit in my opinion. A lot of it. They just
you see a lot straight in the papers and stuff, but at the end of the day, like you all keep saying, there's only 2 journalists you listen to.
Yeah, exactly.
Big Duncan's not far wrong most these days when he sort of gives his opinion or whatever, and he's very good at sort of saying it is an opinion at the end of the day. But I think we're a bit privileged in the sense that we are all kind of linked in with Cop Talk and Dunk himself and And I don't know about you guys, but when things like this are happening, where we really are desperate to get rid of Slot, for example, and make a change of manager, and it kicks off saying, well, they're saying that he might stay. Dunk just rolls in, with his cup of coffee and basically says, what are you getting mad about? You're just kind of reading it wrong. It's almost like he just kind of cuts through the shit and says, guys, just relax, read what you're reading and understand what you're reading before you get all het up. And I think because we're now doing this space, there's a lot of people that talk a lot of stuff, and the media, like I said, sort of like create controversy, and we all jump on it and we get all mad. I think what Dunk is saying about Slot going or being toast, I think it's bang on the money, because there's too many little things that are not ringing true. There's nothing definite. Nobody said at all anywhere that said Slot is definitely staying.
No.
It's a case
That's
of
the thing, isn't it? I watched his video the other day, and he said that I love the way. I agree with you, Tony. I love the way, but again, that comes down to experience. I love the way he looks at things and says, "There's the get-out clause. There's the this. There's the that." That's experience. Yeah. I couldn't look at an article like Dunk does and go, "There's the get-out clause." Do you know what I mean? But the more I watch his videos, the more you see it. And even like with David Ornstein and Paul Joyce, everyone says they're the two guys you listen to. But even Dunk says, yeah, but there's a get-out clause there. Are they just kissing Hughes and Edwards' ass?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
There's nothing. Don't know that, as it's, he will say, Slot is definitely staying. Those three words do not come out in any of the media at all. And also, Slot is definitely going. There's nothing that either. So, you know what FSG is like. They're just poker face. They'll play the cards close to the chest. They won't say anything. They are always been like that. And then, we just got to wait. Unfortunately for us, we've got to be, I'm impatient about this. I think it's just, this bleeding is going to continue. I think the next sort of 5 games that we've got left is going to be like pulling teeth. And I've said that in most of my reviews and previews, as you guys seen on Kopites of Anfield, of course. But if we get third, I'd be absolutely stoked and amazed in a really bad season as it is. But I think they're just waiting to see that if Slot managed to fall out of the 5th place or even get 5th place, that might be the trigger to say that they are justified to do what they did. Because they always need justification in FSG, don't they? That's how they roll. They've got to be whiter than white. But I'm sort of leaning on what Dunk is saying at the moment and saying that this guy's gone irrespective. And that's my thinking on it.
Yeah.
I don't think we can afford to not finish in the top 5, though, can we, really? We need to be playing Champions League football next season.
Well, I think I read somewhere that it could be top 6.
It could be top based on Aston Villa winning the Europa if they win it.
Well, it was like this season, wasn't it? Because we had the 5 and then Tottenham won the Europa League. So we had 6 clubs in the Champions League this season.
Yeah.
I think the issue is with Slot, if obviously the narrative is in a minute, like the backing him and he's the guy going forward. But if that was true, it'd have signed a new contract.
Yeah,
yes,
that's right.
That's proof in the pudding there. They're not fully committed in him. Is that he's only got some real left in his contract and they're not looking to renew it.
Yeah. They renewed Klopp literally after 1 season, I think, or something like that. They renewed fast. Yeah.
Do you think if they did commit to him in the summer, there'd be a mutiny?
Yeah, I think there's too many people want him gone. But then again, do FSG really give a shit about social media? Look at this ticket thing.
I know.
The prices going up and stuff. Everyone's kicking off online. I don't even think they care, do they? Otherwise,
that's what will make a difference. As bums on seats have decided that. I know. Do you remember when we had that early walking out? I don't know what defeat it was that we literally. It was Man City, I think. We decided to walk out at something like 65th minute. And that rumbled all the way through. And I think if we did something like that as a fan base and said, right, we're not going to do this, because in my experience, I was there when I say I was there, when we had Tom and Gillette, those two American clowns beforehand, and the fans really spoke out and spoke with their feet at that point, and that was the beginning of the end. But they had the SOS literally go in every week to the games. I was kind of dragged into that. I was telling you the story about the Manchester United game that I went to, my first game ever, and it was incredible. But they were basically saying, get these guys out. And I think as Liverpool fans, if we really want to move somebody, we will do something about it.
Yeah, definitely. Talking quickly about Man United, I know we're going slightly off topic. I don't know if you've seen it, but apparently, which please to God, this is bullshit. Have you seen who could be taking over for Standard Chartered on the shirt sponsor? Has anyone seen it?
No.
Ineos.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Ineos.
What with us?
Yeah, taking over from Standard Chartered.
Yeah.
I'm not having fucking United's own name. I'm sponsoring our club.
Jim,
Surely there's going to be a rule what that can't happen.
That can't happen, surely.
Surely,
That
yeah.
is madness, isn't it? I couldn't believe it when I read that. But anyhow, we're going off topic. I just thought I'd quickly mention
You can
that.
smell the Liverpool shirts getting burnt already, can't you?
Yeah, no,
That's
right.
what I mean. Can you imagine that? That is crazy.
Put the black tape over it when you get it. Like.
Yeah. I'd rather do a season where you had a kit like Chelsea and there's no sponsor at all. And like that.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
I thought it was
exactly.
no sponsor on the shirt. Looked mint on their shirt, didn't it?
Yeah.
So I think the last subject then is the summer transfer window this summer. So I've got a list of players who I think could go. So I'm going to go quickly round again. Just quick answers because I've got quite a big list here. So I think to go this summer, we'll start off with Carl. Curtis Jones is my first one on the list.
That's probably the toughest one out of them all because, like we were saying before, he's a Scouser through and through and he loves Liverpool. He's not going to want to leave.
No.
And he does get a fair amount of game time, but would you think if he was to go, is he going to be more pushed than wanting to go?
I think it comes down to Arnie Slot again. I don't think Arnie Slot likes him as a player.
Yeah, but he's not. If he's not going to be there next season, fingers crossed, then what could Curtis Jones be like under the likes of someone like Alonso? You know what I mean?
Well, this list that I've got is just based on what I've found on X and Instagram and stuff like that. I
have heard speculation that there is talk of him going in the summer, but
30
if
million.
that's the case, then we're going to have to try and sign some English players in the summer because we're losing the homegrown talent like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get to, actually. That's another good point. I mean, I've seen 30 million into Milan. Would you take 30 million for a homegrown player?
The issue is he's only got a year left in his contract, though, isn't it? That's the issue. So, I think he's a quality player, to be honest.
I think with Curtis Jones,
I do think he gives the ball away too much. I'm going to skip the next one I've got on my list because I want Scott to answer that one. So we'll go on to Chiesa for you, Tony.
Chiesa.
Yeah.
I heard something that Chiesa might be staying. And Chiesa, I think, falls a little bit like Curtis Jones. There's a bit of a two-way street going on because I think Jones is not keen on Slot, and that's obvious. You can see that. And Slot's not keen on Jones, and I think the same goes with Chiesa as well.
Yeah.
It's so obvious to see because I don't know how when Chiesa was coming on and making a difference in matches that all of a sudden he falls completely out of favour, and he's either playing like 4 minutes remaining in the game or less. I think Chiesa will definitely stay. Likewise will Jones if the manager changes. If the manager is still there next season, these guys are going.
You'll probably find there'll be a few players that'll want to leave if he stays. There'll probably be players in the squad that are feeling exactly the same.
Agreed. Salah's definitely, he's made it known already.
Yeah.
Well, I've got Salah and Robertson obviously on the list, so we're not going to touch them because we know they're definitely going. So I'm just going to leave them two. Scott, I want to talk to you about two players, Endo and Alisson. What do you see happening with them two?
I think Alisson goes in summer, to be honest. I think the problem is that they've done the 1 year extension, haven't they, on his contract, but I think that's just to protect his value. I still think they'll fully fit Alisson as the best keeper in the world by a country mile. But the issue is with Alisson, due to his availability or lack of availability, you have to have a really good number two. You can't have like a standard number two. You've got to have like an overly good number two. But the problem is, you get older, and you can't keep all of them because they're kind of pigeonholed into that number two slot. Yeah. So, thing is with Endo, it's a big injury at his age, isn't he? He's got, I think he's got a year left in his contract. So for me, with Endo, you're not going to make much money anyway. I would just keep him around as like a squad player, personally. He's happy to fill in whatever position he wants. It makes an impact as well defensively when he does come on.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to get... Do we pay like 13 mil for him, I think?
Yeah, something like
that. We're not going to get that in summer anyway. Like, from a PSR point of view, there's no real value in selling him, I don't think.
No. But what about his injury? Will that make much difference going forward?
I don't think so, just because of the nature of the role he'll play in the team, because he's not a starter, he's not going to play you 40, 50 games a season. So I think he'll come back and then, be a good squad player. I think the worry is that Alisson with his injuries is, that recurrent hamstring issue, which, if you're going to cash in Alisson and promote Mamadou into number one, you've got to do it this summer. You can't have these good quality number twos just sit on bench all the time when Alisson gets injured.
I seen, again, I don't know if it's true, but 15 million apparently he's got Juventus for. Don't know how true that is, but I would probably take 15 million. I think that's a fair price for an injury-prone goalkeeper. As great as he is, take his greatness away. If we're just talking about availability next season, are we still in the same boat?
If he stays, he'd be a steal for 15 million, though, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
If he stays fit, yeah.
But this is it. The best ability is availability at the end of the day, and unfortunately, he can't stay fit.
No. Right, Scott, we're back to you. Not Scott, sorry. Carl. Gakpo, I've got on my list.
I wouldn't cry if he left.
I just think we need to get younger players in. I really do, that have got legs and ability and take people on.
Like you said before, he's just too predictable. He's a one-trick pony, isn't he?
Yeah.
I've got
what you've got to do is stand off, haven't you?
I've got a different angle on Gakpo because I've seen Gakpo play under Klopp. I've seen him play on the right-hand side. I've seen him play in the middle. I've seen him play on the left. And I remember the game against Manchester United, and he ran riot against them to the point of, in fact, I think he was also potentially going to go to United, or they were interested in getting him, and we got him instead. And I think the reason why he's one-trick pony is because it reflects exactly what Slot is. He's a one-trick pony as well.
Yeah.
Just on the left. He doesn't play him anywhere else unless he has to shift him. And if you've noticed that when he has gone into the middle a little bit and he's got to accommodate Rio, he looks a little bit of a different player. He still does the standard thing. And again, it comes down to coaching because he's a head coach, right? So surely he can coach that into his game. But clearly he's not. So I think Gakpo has been branded a bit of a love child of Slot, and I can see it because he's the go-to guy for our player. But I reckon under a different manager, because clearly under Klopp he was just sometimes a little bit unpredictable. And what he did do, he was very direct. And when he played in terms of shooting at goal, I didn't mind when he kind of missed chances as long as you were creating the chances.
Yeah.
Now, what's happening is the minute that he plays, the minute he's injured and he comes back, he's the first guy on the team sheet when it should be Rio. So I think Gakpo is a victim of what Slot is. That's how I look at it. And is he a great player? No, he's not. Is he a good squad player? 100% he is. But for some reason, Gakpo and Slot have got this thing going on that he would be playing week in, week out, doing the same thing week in, week out, which is what Slot is doing week in, week out. And I don't think we have that. There's expressive players apart from the Rios of this world that literally comes in and goes, right, I'm going to go that way. And that's not Slot coaching Rio. That's Rio just doing Rio things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've got a few more players that I've got on my list. One of them's Canate. I've got a question mark against him. I know that he's come out and said that they're close, hasn't he? To signing a new contract. Yeah. But then I've got Joe Gomez, Scott. What's your worries with him, with injuries that he's had?
The thing, it's hard because he had a really big injury a couple of years ago. He had that ACL, which he's never really got over. I think he's getting to that time where he probably needs to move on for himself as well, maybe a fresh start. You've seen another example, not a Liverpool related, but Dominic Calvert-Lewin, when he were at Everton, he was kind of getting the same injuries. Maybe he's gone to Leeds and he's kind of, his availability is a lot different, maybe like a different medical team, different coaching style. It's helped him. Maybe with Joe Gomez, if he moved on, went to a different team, he may kind of reinvent himself. Cause, I mean, to be fair, like just before his big injury for us, he was in England team. Well, I think he got in England. He got injured in England duty, didn't he? A couple of years ago, that was his knee injury he suffered. So, he's a really good defender, Joe Gomez. But I think the issue he's got as well is now he's not being kind of put in as a defender. He's playing right back, he's playing left back a lot. You know, sometimes you get them players where they're kind of a victim of their own success because they cover multiple positions, but then they can't cement their own position in the squad as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
I'd love to see him score.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love to see him score. Love to.
Yeah, so Carl, I've got two more left, one for Carl and one for Tony. So I've got Elliot for you, Carl. What's your thoughts on him and how he's been treated?
I think he's been treated like shit, really, at Villa. I really don't know what's gone on there. I love Harvey Elliott. I think he's a great player. The only thing that he lacks is the speed. If he was a bit quicker, he'd be world class.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. I think he's a fantastic player.
What actually happened at Villa? Why is he so out of favour? Is it because they don't want to trigger the clause?
Yeah,
or is it?
Yeah. I think there's an obligation where he plays so many amount of games that all of a sudden it becomes that they have to pay for him or something like that. And I think that's what's happening.
I think it's 10 games or something, isn't it?
Something like that, yeah.
So what's your thoughts on the way that Calvin Ramsey's being treated? I think it's very similar to Harvey Elliott, Tony.
Are you asking me? Sorry, Gareth.
Yeah.
No, I think again it goes back to Slot again, doesn't it? Because he's been available, been ready and fit to play when we've been really struggling to have a right back, for instance, and he's just shifted Wozlai onto that right or Curtis Jones or whoever he feels like at the time, and he's been treated like rubbish. I don't know if there's a clause in the contract, I don't know, but he's been named on the bench and never used. And again, it anchors back to the man management side of things, because I can't see Klopp ever doing it for a player where they bring him into that point of you're going to be, something happens, you're going to be substituted and coming in and playing some minutes. He's just outrightly just mugging him off. Whether he's good enough, we don't know. I think we saw shades of him being playing really well. But for, again, some reason, Slot is like, nah. He'd rather put Cody Gakpo in right back, quicker than he would do Calvin Ramsey. So yeah, I feel sorry for the lad, and you know, if he again sort of stays, I think he'd be another one that might go too.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. So now we're going to the opposite side. So who would you like to see sign for Liverpool, Carl? So thinking about the players that we've all just mentioned that could go, who would you like to say come in if all them players did go, for example? So who would you like to replace?
I don't know.
Salah?
It's frustrating because I think I really don't know. Like I say, I think as a immediate replacement, I think Frimpong could possibly do that if we can sort out the right back situation. But how do you replace Salah? Do you go for a younger player to try and bring them in, or who's out there that's like ready made that you could bring in to just fill his boots? There isn't anyone really, is there?
Not. Well, it just depends how you look at it, because he's fell off a cliff, hasn't he? So you could say Anthony Gordon, for example. I know we wouldn't say that, but for argument's sake, you could say Anthony Gordon. He would be a good signing for us.
Yeah, and he is a Liverpool fan.
And he's a Liverpool fan. How about you,
But
Tony?
I think we let Semenyo slip through the net, I think, in January.
Semenyo would have been a great signing. And Mark Gay.
100%. 100%. I think the way we treated Gay is shocking.
Yeah, absolutely bad. Really bad.
Yeah. See, the frustrating thing for me is a lot of these players that I've got on my list are also linked to Man City. And it's really starting to bug me, because anybody on our list, City are going for. Like Mendy, for example. How many wingers do they want? They've already got Semenyo and bloody Doku. How many more do they want? What's your thoughts, Tony?
Yeah, I think we're kind of constantly battling with Man City, and especially the last transfer window where we got Wirtz. I know categorically they really wanted him, and we got Wirtz and we got Cherky. But I think I feel a bit sorry for Wirtz because he's been kind of dumped in. Like Scott's kind of touched on it, that the fact that the transition side of things, and if you look at Wirtz and Cherky, for example. Cherky's almost slowly bled through. Again, going back to what I was saying about the Russian Aldridge analogy, if you like, it's the same thing. You know, he didn't play him straight away. He just kind of got him up to a point, and now you can see that Cherky's kind of turning it on and become a really good player. And I think Wirtz kind of came in straight off the bat, having to kind of adapt quite quickly. But for me, players coming in, I mean, there's a lot of talk. I think you'll get swept up in the names that get branded out, like Elliot Adamson and Diomed, from, if I pronounce the name correctly, and Elise, Musiala, all these kind of players. I really don't know. I think the biggest thing for me ain't the players right now. I think it's just the manager. I think we need to get that correct, and then follow that through, because it's been clearly obvious for me that we've got some really good set of players. I can't understand how Wirtz falling off a cliff, or every time I see him play, he can hold a ball, he can pass the ball, he's got that awareness, he's sharp, technically absolutely gifted. You know, I talked about Curtis Jones, for example, and Gareth, you mentioned that he loses the ball because he kind of holds on to the ball too much. But he's one player that I've seen that's almost gone, I can't be asked for this. And I think majority of them are doing the same thing. I think we just need to replace the ones that are going and add further sort of other quality players to complement it with the right manager. And I think then all of a sudden it starts to click. And if we retain Alisson, Van Dijk, there are our natural leaders in there, because we lose Robbo and Salah, who are also natural leaders. And Bozolai, give him that sort of freedom to be a leader as well. you know, we certainly reset the team, that's for sure. Let's try and build on that, because we certainly brought enough players to go forward. We've lost Ekatike. I think we probably need to get another forward player to kind of replace him, because he's not going to come back until mid 2027 or something crazy like that, because he's going to be out for a long time. So maybe get another good quality forward player, a left or striker, something like that, or even let Rio become that next player that comes in and we push it through. But it comes back down to the manager for me. I think he will stunt it further if we continue with him.
Yeah. What about you, Scott? Bear in mind, we've got Leone and Jacket, haven't we? Maybe you can touch on that quickly as well.
Yeah, so we've got obviously them two young lads coming in defensively. Obviously, they've both got injuries at the minute. So, I mean, if Konate extends, that's like obviously starting partnerships, Konate and Van Dijk. As long as Konate can consistently perform at his best. When he's at his best, Konate he's unstoppable at times. He's an absolute beast. But it's just that consistency and not have that lapse of concentration with Konate. I think Leone looked fantastic on his debut, but it's just you don't want to put too much pressure on him too soon when he comes back. And I haven't seen much of Jeremy Jackie, to be honest with you, but the shoulder injury he's got into his shoulder is done. It's one of them injuries where it shouldn't have too much effect on him when he comes back in, because when you've got like an upper body injury, you can still get in the gym and keep your fitness up. You know, you can get on spin bikes, you can do a lot of stuff like that. Unlike Leone, bless him, when it's a lower limb one, obviously you do struggle a bit more with getting in the gym as early as you can. So we may need a defensive cover. Depends on if Gomez leaves, for example. We probably need right back, left back coming in. Depends what happens with Tsimikas at left back. Probably need a midfielder, a winger or two, and a striker. So it's going to be a busy summer, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. For me, I think we needed a good number 6. So for me, I'd like to see Adam Wharton. That's who I would love to see. And I seen something, I think it was either today or yesterday, 52 million apparently Palace would take for him. I'd take that all day long. I'll tell you somebody who I didn't mention, and you've probably heard this more than anybody else, Scott. Alexis McAllister. He's not a guaranteed one.
Yeah.
Adam loves talking about McAllister.
I'll tell you now, I don't know if you've watched it yet, but when me and Adam recorded the other day, one of the first names you mentioned at first from McAllister.
Sorry for that.
I honestly do think he could go.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, we haven't really got a number 6. I know Gravenberch has been converted to a number 6, hasn't he? But he's a number 8, isn't he?
I tell you, I had mentioned today in regards to number 6s, Gomez from Wolves, and he was only about 30 million, I think.
Yeah,
he's a talented player, isn't he? Who else have I got on my list? That's Sensi we've been linked with, who could be a good replacement if Konate goes from Bournemouth. Or Sensei, I'm not sure how you pronounce his name. What about Mickey van der Ven? Would you take him, Carl?
Nah.
No. I just don't like that. Yeah.
And then there's another Tottenham player as well, Archie Gray. I've seen him being linked. Do you like him?
Wouldn't be a bad shout. If Tottenham get relegated, then that, you know, it's homegrown. It's not a problem there.
Yeah, I think they'll lose a lot of players, won't they?
Yeah. I can't see a lot of them players staying. I think they're in big trouble when they go down.
Yeah,
I do think they're going down. Yeah. I've got a couple of names here, Tony. I don't really know a lot about them.
Not wait. I really can't wait.
That would be one of the biggest clubs going down in like a long time.
Yeah.
I would say in Premier League history.
Yeah.
Do you know much about Bazuma Traore from Hoffenheim, Tony?
No, that name hasn't come across me at all.
No, I've just had a quick look now. It says here that
What position is he playing?
Bazumane Traore. He plays for Hoffenheim.
What position?
He's a winger.
Ah, right, okay.
Well,
It says he's described as a rising star. He's got 11 assists and 3 goals in 25 Bundesliga appearances this season. And it says 37.8 million.
How old is he?
That's what we paid for Firmino, isn't it? I think he's 20.
Oh, so he's still really young then, yeah?
Yeah, it says he's 20 years old.
We could do with the South American player, actually. I think like a Firmino, because they're just runners, aren't they? You know,
Yeah,
pretty good. Well, we've been blessed with quite a few South American players like Luis Suarez and even Luis Diaz. They're just a different cut, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean,
Coutinho in his prime.
Hmm?
Coutinho, yeah.
Amazing.
Coutinho was brilliant money.
Yeah.
I'm just trying
We
to say.
definitely got the best out of it.
Yeah, he's from Ivory Coast.
Okay.
And then you've got who else is on this list here? Oh, what's that left back called? He plays for, is it Leipzig or Salzburg? Is it Lahm or something like that? Or I think he plays for Leipzig.
Do we get linked with him the other day?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but I remember getting linked with him the other day. To be honest, I think we need some Premier League proven players,
Yeah.
like lads who have got experience in England. Just because if we get another half a dozen lads from different leagues again, it may take obviously a bit of time for them to settle in. So we could do with some lads who have, like Archie, I think would be a great signing. To be honest with you, he's
Yeah.
versatile,
I like Archie,
playing multiple positions. His injury record's good as well. So people like that, I think we should be after.
There's a couple of Wolves actually.
If I could pick 3
Yeah.
off the list that I've got, I'd go with Adam Wharton, Archie Gray, and that centre back at Bournemouth. They're all experienced players. Because we touched on it earlier that my biggest worry is we've got no experience. They're all kids. We've probably got a handful of experienced players.
I think we need to bring an experienced centre back in, I think, especially if Konate goes.
I can't see Konate going now. I think he stays.
No, I think he's going to stay.
Yeah. So we're just down to the last bits and pieces now. So I want to touch on quickly the Palace prediction from yours. And I think that's it that I've got anyway, unless you want to talk about something.
I've got one question to throw in there, but we'll do that after you finish with yours.
All right, then quickly go around.
I was just going to say, go on. Sorry.
Go on, Carl.
I was just going to say, do you think that Szoboszlai has been robbed this season by having to play so many games at right back? And do you think he's put in that position so Slot can get X amount of certain players on the pitch at the same time?
Yeah, I think we touched on that earlier, didn't we? That he's trying to get all the best players on the pitch at once, but it's not working.
No.
I think my problem is we've stuck with 4-3-3 for too long, or 4-2-3-1, whatever you want to call it. I would like to have seen 2 strikers this season, especially with signing Ekitike and Isak. I know they were injured, but in general, if Slot stays, is he going to go for 2 strikers next season?
I think what Szoboszlai does remind me of, especially this season compared to maybe the first couple of seasons he's had. seems to be that box to box midfielder now. Where he can come back, he can go forward, and he seems to love going forward all the time. And a lot of the times, been again due to slots thinking or whatever, been pulled back this way. So when we have like a double pivot, for example, he's next to somebody else unless McAllister's there. I see Szoboszlai been so effective when he's sitting right behind the front three because he seems to pull the strings really, really well. And he's just got that maverick in him to kind of have that awareness. Secondly, have that sort of energy to kind of cover if he gets caught out, but also just bring the play or glue it together, almost like a bit of a Firmino, not exactly the same as a Firmino, but he's got that in him, and I think he's just been all over the place, generally this season, where we haven't seen him in his probably his best position, playing the best way he could. Because of
yet he's clearly been the best player at Liverpool.
Best player of the season,
most of it out of position.
Yeah.
So that just says it all.
Yeah, exactly. I've got a theory, Scott. See what you think of this. Do you think Slot's tried to put Szoboszlai at right back to try and play the Trent role?
Potentially due to his passing ability, but I think, to be honest with you, I think Szoboszlai's issue is he's kind of the victim of his own success, where he's the best player in whatever position he plays in. Like, he's at times been our best right back. He's been the best right hand side midfield. He's been the best box to box midfielder for us. He's been the best in the attacking midfield area for us. So whatever position he's played, it's predominantly been the best player there. So he's kind of been the victim of his own success. But I do think part of that is as well where he can have that passing range what Trent had at right back as well. So yeah, I can see it as well, mate.
Yeah. Is anybody worried that Szoboszlai is not going to get a new contract?
No, I think he'll get one.
I can't see it not happening.
Yeah,
he's definitely earned. He's definitely earned that number 8.
Oh yeah.
He's putting some proper overtime this season.
So, what's your predictions for the game tomorrow then? I'm going to go 2-0 to Liverpool.
Wow.
Go on, you say.
Well, I would love to. Again, you don't know what Liverpool side is going to turn up, do you?
No.
Go on, give me a number. And honestly, if you think we're going to get beat, say it.
No, I'm going to be really positive and say we're going to win 3-1. We're not.
Like it.
We're definitely going to concede.
I hate doing predictions, but do you know what? When Carl said 3-1, it kind of rang in my head. Because I think also I took on board what Scott said earlier in sort of our conversations was they are probably focused on Europe, which is going to probably be a big thing, right? So, I'm going to probably say we edge it 2-1. I was going to say 3, being optimistic, but I'm going to say 2-1 to Liverpool.
Scott?
I think we'll nick a 2-1 as well, to be honest with you. I think, like I said, we're on the comment section earlier on. Obviously, Palace have probably focused more on Conference League now. They're around 12th in the league. I think they're on around 43 points. So they're a bit cut adrift from the teams above them, but they're comfortably away from relegation. So they don't really have anything to play for in the league. All their kind of eggs should be in that Conference League semi-final. So for me, obviously we've had a full week prep as well, which helps. I do think we should have enough and hope and nick a 2-1.
2-1. So there's only me and Carl that are confident, eh? I like it. So that's it, guys.
I'm not confident. I'm not confident.
You're not confident, Carl. Don't you try changing
We could be 3-1 up at half time, and I wouldn't be able to rest even in the second half.
No. Don't you start changing it now. I thought we were on the same.
I won't change my prediction. I'm like I say, I'm going to be positive, but it's hard to be positive this season.
Yeah. Well, that's everything covered, guys. I want to thank every single one of you for making the time tonight. We're just over 2 hours. Is there anything you want to talk about before you go? You want to plug your podcast, Scott? And
Say again, mate.
do you want to plug anything while you're on before you go, and then Tony can finish off?
Yeah, so obviously I do podcast called Scott Sporting Corner. I cover most sports, predominantly Liverpool at the moment, just because of like time and everything. But you know, I try and cover it from like that analytical sports science point of view. There, if you never listen to it, get a listen. It's on Spotify, on Patreon. So yeah, I'd love more people to listen to it.
Yeah, I'll pop a link in the video description, mate.
I got an email before saying that the latest one will come out on Patreon, but I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet. But I will do, mate, at some point.
Good, pal.
What were you going to say, Tony, mate?
I was going to say what we should have said at the beginning is like, comment, subscribe to the Kopites of Anfield guys.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
This is what I'm supposed to be doing.
And the key part is, if you want to support the channel, my hard work,
go ahead.
The link will be in the video description, guys. So that's it, guys. That's it for episode 1 of Kopites Unfiltered. I hope you've enjoyed the show, and we'll see you real soon. That's it for now. Take it easy.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.